Our Story, Our History, celebrating women's history, sponsored by HEB. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Great Day Houston. Here's a thought for the day. Everyone is born with a mission. How they discover it becomes their story. For astronaut Sally Ride, the thing that helped to launch her career included a want ad in a newspaper. Our first guest shares the journey of how people who have made history and made an impact on society figure into all of our lives. As we round out Women's History Month, historian Raffi Andonian shares how Ride's legacy still encourages young women today. Good morning.
Good morning. What a great time to be here for Women's History Month.
Yes. All right. Before we get into her history, let's take a look at your history.
Okay.
LA, raised in LA, but have traveled the country, but you're curious by nature, which is perfect for a historian.
Absolutely. A historian, you're supposed to be asking a lot of questions so you can learn. It's about history, it's about inquiry and understanding how and why things happen. And indeed, I travel all over the country, lived all over the country, and worked at various sites: Gettysburg Battlefield, Los Alamos, where the atomic bomb was created, MLK home, and learned a lot in the different regions of the country.
Yeah. What's the importance of us knowing about our own homeland? I know a lot of times we think America's so young relatively to the rest of the world and all the history's out there. We have our own wonderful history here, too.
It's as important as local identity, right? Because in not only in the United States, but specifically in Texas or wherever you happen to be, you have to pay attention to that, because that's what forms your local identity, your local society, what's going on around you, how and why. And I would also say that America actually, I think, has an older history and often is given credit, especially if you look back thousands of years and in many archaeological sites we have around the country.
Yeah, all right, we study history in school, but you created Raffi's Regulars, which really, with that business, makes history even more fun to learn.
I think history is fun, should be engaging. It's all about, stories about people, ourselves, accomplishments, struggles we've been through. And yes, through the Raffi's Regulars, I have the TV appearances I do, I have my own streaming show, I even have a program I do for companies to use history in a fun way for them to learn more about, business skills through history. So history is very applicable. As long as you know how to ask questions and use evidence and learn about the world around you, you can apply and do history.
Yeah, you were known as the celebrity historian. There's a funny story of how that came about.
I was actually on TV. I pitched it to someone as kind of a joke behind the scenes, and it happened to come out on camera, and the anchor mentioned it, and once it was mentioned on live TV, you know how it is, the power of mass media, it caught on all over the place. It was originally because I had been at an event with Dr. Oz, and Dr. Oz is the celebrity doctor. So in my head, the idea of a celebrity historian came up, and when I threw it out there, that caught fire. I will now be referred to as the celebrity host. Okay, all right, Sally Ride. It's such a great story because there's sometimes a very fine line between someone, making history and being groundbreaking and us never knowing who they are. She was an LA native as well. She was a talented tennis player, and at one point thought that's what she would pursue. That's right. And I think what that story also tells you is, again, you were talking about curiosity earlier. Mm-hmm. She pursued tennis. Her degrees were in English, literature, and in physics. I mean, this person is diversified. Both sides of the brain were working. Both sides of the brain, that's right. And the mind and the body, right? Yeah. And so what's interesting there is she's always trying to go for learning more, excellence. In tennis, she tried to pursue a pro career, then she shifted. So I think that what that shows you is many of the greats in history that make these breakthroughs, whether they're famous or not so famous, they're interdisciplinary and they're training and multiple sides of their mind and body, and they're curious. Yeah. And that cross intersection of that creativity is where they often make those moves forward. The other intersection is timing, right? If you tried to do a cell phone back in caveman days, they would have been like, no, no, too soon. All right, so speaking of divine timing, NASA launched their Women in Space program. They had done it at one time before and then kind of scrapped it, but they were really aggressively pursuing it at a later time. Sally sees an ad in the paper. That's right, and what happens is thousands of applicants apply, and only 35 people, men and women, were chosen. But within the women's program we're talking about, there were 6 women that were chosen, so she was 1 out of 6. So imagine that, thousands of applicants, 35 total future astronauts come to Houston for the training. 6 of them are women, 1 of them is Sally Ride. Yeah, that is crazy. The odds of that. First of all, tremendous. The odds of did you see the ad in the paper? Oh, that's right there. And then applying and getting chosen. pretty incredible. She was at Stanford at the time. She saw it in a college paper.
And we certainly know she was accomplished. I mean, this is a job that she deserved to be in for sure. But still, she speaks of being criticized or looked at as just a woman in the program, a novelty in the program.
Exactly. And here's what's interesting is her background in tennis actually helped her there, because she said that the pressure of performing at a high level, because she was training to be a pro and at a collegiate level, was a top tennis player at Stanford when she was there, helped her deal with all that kind of pressure when she was being asked things like, you know, are you going to cry? Are you going to need makeup when you're up in space? And these sorts of things. And so can she handle the pressure? Well, of course she can handle the pressure. She's been in major college sports.
First of all.
She got through the training, of course. But she had previous background from young age to build upon. So those different things that she did came to help her to go ahead and make history and overcome the odds around her and the pressure around her that was coming on her.
Because at that point, the sum of all her parts came together.
That's right.
To get that job. All right. She's a trailblazer in more ways than one. The first in a lot. The first American woman in space. Because some Russian women had gone up cosmonauts, but she was the first American woman in space.
She is the first American woman in space. She also is the first LGBTQ person in space. And she's the youngest American ever to be in space at age 32. That's how old she was when she went up, which is really young. I mean, it's younger than I am. And she's already up in space. I'm thinking about all the training beforehand. Part of that helps that she saw the college paper ad early in her life. She got on that path early, and then, of course, built on from there to make those blaze of trails.
She passed away from pancreatic cancer.
She did.
But not before doing so many things, even after she went up in space. She's a physics professor at the University of California, San Diego.
Yes.
Co-founded the Sally Ride Science nonprofit and encourages girls to pursue STEM. Because to her point, when she was asked questions like, are you wearing makeup in space? She was like, why are they asking me the silly questions? Why not the, right?
That's right.
She wanted to make it where even women, because even young girls, studies show that they'll be competitive in math and the sciences up until about junior high, and then something happens where they feel like, oh, I'm not supposed to do that. And she's like, no, you are supposed to do that, and you can do that.
That's right. And you know what really stands out for me is not just everything we talked about, but she was the only person to be on the commission for both the Challenger accident that happened in 1986 and the Columbia accident that happened in 2003. The only person that was on both of those commissions. So that shows you how well respected she was with her expertise, not just as a woman, but as an astronaut, period.
Okay, legacy preserved in the coin, which we know on our money, we have all the men, right?
The money in your pocket.
So tell us about this.
Well, on the other side, from George Washington, who of course is the ultimate American history kind of celebrity, now you have these women that are being recognized. And Sally Ride is one of the 5 from 2022 on the tail side of the quarter. And Dr. Sally Ride, you know, to me, being on there signifies a lot because it's on the same platform on the other side from George Washington. You're putting her on the same platform because of what she did in you know, the history that she made for the United States and for the world. Now, what's really fascinating when I put them on coins is coins go back 3,000 years, and currency or money is where nations honor their heroes. And here she is on the same platform on the other side of George Washington, another American hero put together. In
our palm of our hand. Raffi,
in your pocket.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And thanks for what you do. I just think if more of us understood our history, I think it helps us to be a more cohesive society as
well. It does. And a reminder with a quarter in our pockets when it's circulating this year.
All right. For more information on Raffi and the historical presentations he can do for your group, visit greatdayhouston.com and we'll connect you.